Church family, today we are in Psalm 126. We're continuing this series of Psalms called the Psalms of Ascents, where the people of Israel are taking their pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and they are making their way up to the city. And these songs are a call to hope, a call to a long obedience in the same direction. And Psalm 126 follows in that vein. So let's read this psalm together, and let's figure out what it looks like to embody this psalm and live it out in our day-to-day lives. A Song of Ascents. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then they said among the nations, "The Lord has done great things for them." The Lord has done great things for us. We are glad. Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like streams in the Negeb. Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy. He who goes out weeping, bearing the seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, bringing his sheaves with him. This psalm can be divided into two sections, verses 1 to 3 and verses 4 to 6. The first section can be summarized as celebration. It begins when the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion. We were like those who dream. You ever had a dream that you wish would come true? Well, this is the situation of Israel. Their imagination has become reality, and it's given them much to be happy about, much to sing joyfully about. What happened in their imagination filters down to their words, where they are filled with laughter and shouts of joy. And they say among the nations, "The Lord has done great things for us." And indeed, He has done great things for His people. There is much to be glad about. And then the psalm makes the turn in verse 4, which is a prayer. And it's interesting, right? We read in verse 1 that when the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, and then verse 4 is a prayer to God to restore the fortunes of Zion. This seems a little backwards, right? You'd expect verse 4 to come first, followed by when the Lord restored our fortunes. But what is happening here? What's going on? And I think the second half of this couplet in verse 4 gives us an explanation. And it's this obscure reference to the streams in the Negeb. Well, the Negeb was this region that was really dependent on the rainy season. That when the rains came down, the Negeb was full of water and abundance and fertility and life for vegetation and for the people in the area. But it would go dry in the summer. It would be a lifeless graveyard, essentially. And that there are these ebbs and flows of abundance and dryness, of life and lifelessness. And isn't that a picture of the Christian life at times, where we feel really close to God and we are full of joy and happiness, and then there are other times where we are wondering, God, where are you? When will you restore our fortunes? Everything seems dry and lifeless right now. And it's great that the psalmist records this tension, that we don't have to pretend to be happy all the time, that we can acknowledge that we are in dry seasons and still walk towards the Lord anyways. We can still make our pilgrimage to that heavenly city, keeping our eye on that new Jerusalem and on that great King, Jesus, seated on the throne in that city. And that we can come to Him as we are, with all that we are, full of life, full of questions and dryness. And the promise of God is that we will not return empty-handed. This psalm ends with the promise that those who sow in tears shall reap shouts of joy. And the one who goes out weeping, bearing the seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, bringing his sheaves with him, bringing back more than what he came in with. And that's our God. He gives more abundantly than we could ever give. So today, how can you embody Psalm 126? Well, no matter where you are, whether you are feeling closer to God than you've ever been, or whether He feels more distant than you've ever recognized, well, the call for us is to keep our eye on Him, to walk towards Him, to trust that in due time He will give us all that we need and that He will indeed fill us with joy.